Welcome to the TOCA Backstage podcast. Join TOCA's Executive Director, Chris Wolf, in conversations with the artists and people behind the scenes of the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation's performances and events.
Hi, this is Chris Wolf, Executive Director of the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation. It is my extreme honor to have Mitch Chang from the Los Angeles International Ukulele Festival with me today. Mitch, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
Just backstory for those people who don't know, the Torrance Cultural Arts Foundation presents shows in the Armstrong Theater. From time to time, actually it seems like the last several years, we come in to get ready to do a show that evening, and we look out in the lobby and there's a sea of people and hanging instruments and vendor booths, and it's the Ukulele Festival. So I just had to, I wanted to chat with you about it. So tell me, how did this all come about? When did you start the festival?
It started in 2015. I've always really liked the Torrance Cultural Arts Center. There's so many spaces for classes and performances and folks gathering. I'm from Hawaii. The ukulele was my first instrument. I've been teaching around for a while, Torrance Adult School, South Bay Adult School, and El Camino, and private students and all that. So I thought, the Ukulele Festival in Hawaii is a lot of fun. And the ukulele festivals that I've been to here on the mainland have been what I feel kind of restrictive and not super inclusive of as many people as they should be. For example, they get kind of expensive, The typical ukulele festival, you have to pay an entry fee, then you have to pay for each workshop individually, then you have to pay for each performance. And kids cannot afford that, especially high school kids. High school kids are probably the poorest people on the planet. Anyways, I really wanted to make it more inclusive and to have it more kid-friendly, family-friendly. So I thought, I'm in front of these people all the time doing classes and everything. And I want to do this the right way because, the ukulele is a gateway instrument. And it's not something where people spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to get started. It's just you can get one for like $99, $79, and just to have fun, and for kids, it's a way to learn music and start playing music right away, and for older adults. And so I wanted to have a festival in that spirit of inclusion and to make it easy for people to come. So basically at my festival, it's just one flat fee, and you can take any class that you want, however many workshops you want, all levels are represented. And each performance on stage is basically a headliner, at any other festival. And so it's kind of inspiring for people, and you get to see what can be done on the instrument, from someone singing and playing, strumming, to somebody doing something more sophisticated, different styles, jazz, Hawaiian. And
so I have always found the ukulele like kind of an interesting instrument because it actually is kind of international, isn't it? I mean, being a Southern California kid, born and raised, my first sort of introduction to it was with mariachi, because you see, them playing it, and then of course then you learn about more of a Hawaiian influence, and even now with like America's Got Talent, there's sort of a pop influence that's coming into play. Do you know where the instrument started? Did it generate from Hawaii?
Oh, we know exactly where it's from. It's actually a Portuguese instrument. The instrument that you're thinking of for mariachi is the vihuela, which, believe it or not, I used to play in a mariachi band. The vihuela is kind of a fat ukulele. It's got 5 strings. It's tuned the same as a guitar, but it's missing the 6th string. The ukulele is technically from Portugal, and it was called something else in that country, right? But the Portuguese came to Hawaii, and we know exactly when they came to Hawaii. We know who was on that ship of Portuguese people. And so we know who the first ukulele builder was. He took that Portuguese instrument, modified it, and it became what's known as the ukulele. And there's different theories about why it's called ukulele, which translates into Hawaiian as jumping flea. But for sure, we know where it came from, when it arrived in Hawaii, and who was the first builder. And so it's but now it's, it's not native to Hawaii, but now it's definitely considered Hawaiian. But one mistake that I think some festivals make, at least some that used to be here in California, was they made the festival too Hawaiian. But there's a lot of people who don't like Hawaiian music that love ukulele. I mean, you should see what they're doing in like New Zealand and Great Britain and all these places. It's pretty fascinating.
Well, I as a person who programs performing arts centers, I mean, I've been to the conferences where I know that there's the United Kingdom ukulele
Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain. Yeah, you guys are immensely popular.
And I of course, my big I'm a big fan of Jake Sembabukuro, who it's actually quite funny. My wife and I went to go see him. I sort of take her to the shows I have to go see if I want to book artists, and we go to, it was at the theater in Rancho Cucamonga, and we're sitting there, we're getting ready for the show to start, and she leans in, she goes, "Who are we seeing?" And I said, "Oh, it's Jake Sembabukuro." And she goes, "What does he do?" And I said, "Oh, he plays ukulele." And she goes, "Really?" Like, she was so disappointed. And then the show started, and she was just amazed at what this guy was able to do on his ukulele. Sorry, I'm California. I keep screwing up the pronunciation.
Sometimes people don't know what I'm saying until I say, "Okay, ukulele." Oh, okay.
So it really is. I mean, and I keep thinking back to the America's Got Talent, where there's like I think her name was Grace Vanderwall, who played on the instrument.
Mm-hmm.
So it does sort of have a pop feel to it. How did you get started with it?
It was my first instrument growing up in Hawaii. We all basically had to play it in grade school for May Day and things like that. So I knew the basic chords and whatever songs we used to sing. I can't remember, probably Hukila or something. And there's a famous school in Hawaii run by this guy named Roy Sakuma, who was the man and the organization who produced the Hawaii Ukulele Festival all these years. This year is going to be the last year. I think it's been like 40, 50 years maybe. It's a free event out in the park at Kapilani Park. But anyways, I went to that, not for very long, I don't know. I was just a kid, so I don't remember. Maybe, was it months? I don't think it was a year. But, it's something I played on and off throughout the years. Never really seriously, just for fun here and there. But I was really inspired by a guy named Lyle Ritz. You should look him up. Lyle Ritz was a session player for, as a bass player. Mm-hmm. He played on like Beach Boys and Aretha Franklin, all these super huge names back in the day. But he did an ukulele album called, what's it called now? Got Uke? No. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called now. But it was like in the 40s, if I'm not mistaken. Really, really interesting jazz. It's all jazz. Ukulele really shines when it's Hawaiian songs or paired with a upright bass playing jazz tunes. It's incredible. So Lyle Ritz was huge. And then I read about this guy in the OC Register in 2003, 2004, somewhere around there. His name was Bill Tapia. And at that time, he was like 96, 97 years old and had just been inducted into the Ukulele Hall of Fame. And I read about him in the OC Register because he lived in Westminster. And I read this article like, oh, this sounds like a really cool cat, and the people who nominated him for that Hall of Fame was my music professor at University of Hawaii. So anyways, I looked him up and I called him. I said, hey, I want to come play with you and learn jazz stuff from you. And so I did. So kind of rekindled my interest in the ukulele and he taught me all the standards and it's a lot of fun. So
Now, you don't play professionally, right? Or do you? I mean,
I do.
and do you have like a band that you perform with?
No, I get hired for like private events or parties or weddings, things like that. I don't really put myself out there because I'm actually really busy with other stuff. But people, they find me or they call me, and so.
And I noticed on your website, you also do a lot of presenting of different types of music. What kind of, like, if I'm not mistaken, was there a slack key guitar?
Yeah, the name of my production company is Kalakoa, which is the Hawaiianized way of saying calico. And each of my events, and within each event, there's a whole wide range of colors that you'll experience. So if you come to the Ukulele Festival, for example, you'll see all the different styles and ages and things that people are doing with the instrument. I also do the Southern California Slack Key Festival every January. It's always a Sunday, the day before Martin Luther King Day, somewhere around January 15th, somewhere around there. And slack key is Hawaiian style guitar, where the guitar is tuned from standard tuning, is tuned into an open tuning. And you might not know what it's called. Hiho'alu is the Hawaiian way of saying it, slack key guitar. But when you hear it, it's instantly identifiable, and it's way more Hawaiian than even the ukulele is. And so because it's an open tune guitar, when you turn it, gonna face it with the strings facing up, that's where the steel guitar comes from. You play the steel across the strings.
Right.
And that turned into the steel guitar, which is huge, of course, in country and blues. That all came from Hawaii, believe it or not. But even within the Slack Key Festival, I have different colors of styles, solo, instrumental, accompaniment. So I do the Slack Key Festival in January, the Ukulele Festival somewhere September, October. I also do the Los Angeles International Flamenco Festival. And I'm really proud of all these events. This really showcase that genre in many different ways to really, really represent all the varieties and the colors within each Slack Key, flamenco, ukulele genre.
So that's interesting because I can understand the slack key and the ukulele, because obviously they're both Hawaiian instruments. But how did flamenco get involved? Is it just because it's a string? I mean, I'm assuming it's flamenco guitar and not necessarily the dance, or is it both?
Oh yeah, no, everything, the flamenco, the guitar, singing, dance. These are all things that I have a personal connection to and personal history with. When I was studying classical guitar in college, my guitar professor had been a student of Pepe Romero at USC. And apparently Pepe Romero kind of forces all of his students to learn just a little bit of flamenco. And so she asked me one day, do you have any interest in, would you like to learn how to play for flamenco dancers? And I said, not really, because I didn't really know anything about it. And it was so foreign to me. But she said, no, trust me. I think it's going to be right up your alley. This is, your style, your personality. Just give it a try. So I went and somebody showed me the ropes, and it was another guitar player who was, playing accompaniment for the flamenco dance class, kind of like how you have a piano player playing accompaniment for the ballet class for the kids. And he and one of the dancers had fallen in love, and they were going to run out to Vegas. So I was his replacement, and I got into it. Short story, I fell in love with it. I really dug it, and it led to me going between Hawaii and San Francisco a lot to see what's going on in flamenco, because there's no one really to learn from in Hawaii. And so I got to know the flamenco scene in San Francisco. And eventually, this is why I moved to California in the first place, was for flamenco. And eventually made my way down to Southern California. But yeah, I've played. That's why I know the Hawaiian community and the ukulele community is just because I've been around them. I play around them, but also the flamenco community is I know it very well too, just because I was very involved with all those people in various classes and shows and workshops and things.
I still find that, I mean, fascinating that because, I mean, is there a connection between, other than your personal involvement with it, is there a connection to, well, let me back up. It just seems that all three of those styles are completely different how they're played. I mean, I would
Yeah, very
think,
different. They are.
because flamenco is more of like light touch and in the frets, right? Whereas,
Flamenco is pretty intense, actually. It's very sophisticated, really, really sophisticated, um, very involved. It's the most demanding out of all of those three by far. Um, you you have to be pretty inventive and pretty kind of intense to do flamenco and to like it, to appreciate it, to understand it. So yeah, they're very different. I don't really get much crossover. Like somebody from the Slack Key Festival who hears about the flamenco festival, they're probably not going to come, and vice versa. Um, but it is one of my missions to educate people on what flamenco is, because it drives me crazy. I'm not going to mention any names, but oh, this is a flamenco piece, and they play in a minor key and they strum really fast. But come on, that's just very insulting, you know. So people need to get educated about what flamenco is. It's not flamenco, it's flamenco. And you know, you don't go like that, you know, like you would at a mariachi party or something.
right.
So that's actually one of my other, I guess, motivations for doing these things, you know, is, you know, educating people and really showing them what the real deal is. You know, this is ukulele, this is Hawaiian style guitar, slacky guitar, this is flamenco.
And have you seen like which out of those three different festivals, which one is more successful than the other?
I would say probably overall the Slack Key Festival, because I've been doing that one the longest. That's the first one I started in 2008. And the interesting thing about that show is that I could put tickets on sale for it right now. They are on sale right now, actually, for January. And I think we're about 40%, 50% sold already. And people don't even know who's going to be playing. They just trust. They trust me, you know. Well, is it going to be another good year? Joe Blow and Jane Blow. I don't know who they are, but I'm sure they're going to be really good. But I've earned that confidence and I've earned that trust. For flamencos, a lot of the people who come to the flamenco shows are performers and artists themselves, so they're kind of picky. They really, really want to know who's going to be coming first before they buy their tickets. And if it's someone that they don't know by name, they might be a little apprehensive about it, you know, not quite as trusting, because they do know who's out there. So that's a little bit of a challenge.
And I just think that's amazing. And I mean, kudos to you for doing it, because it's, I could see that there's three different genres out there. Each of them have their own specific niche, and it's like you're catering to these different groups. When you said that you thought that the Slacky was more successful, I would have thought that the ukulele one was more successful, just because it kind of has such a broad appeal to where there's, like you said, kids, adults, seniors can get into it, because it is, I mean, I think it's less intimidating. I don't know if it's because of the size, but it's less intimidating than a guitar.
Oh yeah, yeah. And like I said, I try to make it really easy for people to come in and experience it and give it a try. Yeah, I don't expect them to come and pay $200, you know, without even knowing how to play. So, you know, we have beginner classes. I'm having something this year in the Nakano Theater for $20. And you can stay there all day if you wanted to, and get lessons for kids and parents. And we're gonna have like a little ukulele puppet show and fun things like that. I'm going to invite some of the artists from the main areas to come and play a song or two for the people in the theater, so they kind of get an idea of what can be done and hopefully get inspired to continue learning on the instrument.
That's awesome. That's well, kudos to you. So the Ukulele Fest, the Los Angeles International Ukulele Festival is coming up when?
The main day is September 24th. It's really September 23rd, 24th, 25th, which is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday night at the Nakano Theater, we have a little evening concert featuring two very well-known ukulele players from Hawaii. They're going to be doing a concert, Brittany Paiva and Andrew Molina. That's going to be Friday night. But then Saturday is the main day where it's a flat fee, $47 for the main area. And for the main area, that includes all the workshops, classes, performances. The vendor area is free in the the entry plaza where you had all the vendors for your event. Mm-hmm. So that's all day. It's basically 10 to 6. You don't have to stay all day if you don't want to, but there's a lot that you can experience if you do. And then the 25th, Sunday, we're going to have kind of like a family day. Ohana is family in Hawaiian. We have a Ohana family day at the Grand Annex in San Pedro. That one is to help get the word out about the Grand Annex and the things that they do over there. And that's kind of geared more. We're going to have, it's going to be like concert performance / play along. Because one thing that people love to do in the ukulele world is play along with each other. And so we'll have people leading songs up on stage and really easy songs that people can learn really quickly with really easy chords, because ukulele, you can 1 finger, 2 fingers and start playing right away. And we'll have loaner instruments there. So I'm trying to make it a very fun weekend, very accessible is what my goal is.
And for people who want to get tickets, where would they go?
They can go to a couple of things, Los Angeles Ukulele Festival.com or ukuleleisfun.com. Either way, you'll get to that website and you can see all the pictures. And I think when you see the pictures of all the people having a good time, kids, older seniors, and everything in between, you'd be like, wow, this looks like a great day.
Yeah, I have to say, one of the pictures that you had on your website was a group. It looked like everybody was seated in the Torino Plaza at the Torrance Cultural Arts Center, and everybody had ukuleles, and everybody had a smile on their face. It just looked like a blast. I don't even play, and I was like, I want to go do that.
Yeah. Well, if you have to see with the Taiko show that night, come over.
The other thing that sort of blew me away when I would go see the vendors out front is I guess the artistry of the creation of the instrument is like far superior than what I remember growing up, just being like a little plastic instrument. I mean, these are some really amazing pieces of art. Has it always been like that, or has the creation of the instrument changed any?
Gee, I don't know. Well, even the plastic ones are really good right now, They have these waterproof ones that you can totally use for like a boat paddle if you wanted to, and then play right away. The whole luthier built type of instruments that can go for like, thousands of dollars. I don't know when that really took hold. I can't say. I'm going to say maybe like 80s or 90s is when they really started getting like kind of like more high end kind of a thing.
And is there's different sizes, or are they just different instruments?
There's a concert, soprano, tenor, all of which are tuned the same. The My Dog Has Fleas, G, C, E, A. And then you have the baritone, which is tuned like a guitar, minus the bottom 2 strings. And the ukulele, the soprano, concert, and tenor sizes, small to big, is tuned the same way. If you took a guitar, if you capoed the 5th fret and then chopped off the bottom 2 strings, that's what you get on the ukulele. So basically, it's a 4th higher than the guitar, which is why it's a great gateway instrument. Because if I play this chord here, which would be D on the guitar, then a 4th higher than that is G. So it's G on the ukulele. So you could even, like, not knowing anything, you can like play guitar chords on the ukulele,
Mhm.
and then just account for those two missing strings, and then you'll get it, you know? So if I play a C chord on the guitar, if I play a guitar C chord on the ukulele, this finger kind of falls off the fingerboard because there's no string there. So then you get a fourth higher than C, which is F. So if people think about it that way, it's really easy to get started.
Okay, well, you said that there's different instruments that, the sizes are different. They're all ukuleles, but they're different tuning, or like one is baritone,
Not
one
the
is...
concert, soprano, concert, tenor are all tuned exactly the same, and they'll sound the same except for the depth of the sound. And then the baritone is tuned fourth lower.
So it's really the same instrument. It's just the sound is different. It's like deeper it's like singing. There's a tenor, bass, soprano.
Yeah.
So as somebody who I keep threatening my wife that I'm going to get one and try it out. What would I get? What for just a novice who wants to try it out?
Probably a tenor might be the most comfortable. Once you get used to that, the one behind me is a concert size. It could be a little bit small for people though, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to play around. To take around with you. It's very easy to transport.
Yeah.
So that's kind of part of the fun of it, you know. It's better than a travel guitar. But if people feel too cramped, you know, then they might want to go with a tenor ukulele just to give more room on the fingerboard.
Very cool. Well, Mitch, I got to tell you this. Kudos to you to everything you're doing. I think it's great. I know that you have a big fan base in Torrance. And anyone listening or watching this, I urge you to go check it out. Los Angeles International Ukulele Festival, and they won't hold it against you if you say ukulele.
Right.
But I urge you to go. It's at the Torrance Cultural Arts Center. And when is it again? September
23, 24, 25. 24th is the main day.
And at the end of this, we'll put on a slide with the website so people can get to it real quick. Mitch, thank you so much for taking the time. I sure do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
And hopefully, I'm sure since we have a show that night, actually this is perfect. So they can come experience ukulele, grab a bite to eat, come back and see a taiko show.
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, Christian. I'll talk to you soon.